The sun was setting over the ocean, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink when Emma Parker said the words that would change everything. Sometimes the universe gives us exactly what we need, right when we need it most. If you've ever believed in second chances or fate bringing people together at the perfect moment, this story will touch your heart. Stay with me until the end to discover how a chance encounter on a quiet beach transformed two broken souls forever. If this story resonates with you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to our channel for more heartfelt stories that remind us of the unexpected ways love finds us. Mark Reynolds hadn't planned on taking his daughter to the beach that evening. At 36, his life revolved around two things: being the best father possible to 8-year-old Lily and keeping his head above water at Parker Publishing, where he'd recently been promoted to senior editor. The promotion had been a blessing financially but came with the complication of reporting directly to Emma Parker, the enigmatic CEO who'd inherited the company from her father 2 years ago. "Daddy, can we please go to the beach? Please." Lily had begged that Friday afternoon, her blue eyes, so like her mother's, wide with hope. "You promised we'd go more this summer." He had promised, hadn't he? Between deadlines and the mountain of manuscripts waiting for his attention, Mark had been breaking too many promises lately. The weight of single parenthood sometimes felt crushing, especially on days when memories of Sarah, gone 4 years now, seemed to hover in every corner of their small coastal home. "All right, Lilybug. Let's go watch the sunset," he'd conceded, his daughter's resulting squeal of delight making the decision worthwhile before they'd even left the house. The beach was nearly empty when they arrived, most tourists having retreated to restaurants or hotel rooms as evening approached. Mark spread their blanket on the sand while Lily immediately began collecting shells, her small figure darting back and forth along the shoreline, pigtails bouncing with each excited discovery. He watched her, heart swelling with love and that familiar ache of wishing Sarah could see how beautiful their daughter was becoming. Lost in thought, he didn't notice the woman approaching until she was nearly beside him. "Mr. Reynolds?" "Mark?" The voice jolted him from his reverie. Emma Parker stood there, barefoot in the sand, looking nothing like the formidable executive who commanded boardrooms and made major publishing decisions with unwavering confidence. Here, with her dark hair loose around her shoulders and wearing a simple sundress instead of her usual tailored suits, she seemed younger, softer somehow. "Ms. Parker," he stammered, instinctively starting to rise. "Please, don't get up," she said, gesturing to the space beside him. "And it's Emma out here. May I join you?" Before he could answer, Lily came running back, hands cupped around her latest treasure. "Daddy! Look what I found." "Who's this?" Emma asked, her expression warming as she took in the excited child. "My daughter, Lily." "Lily, this is Ms. Parker. She's Daddy's boss." Lily regarded Emma with curious eyes before opening her hands to reveal a perfect sand dollar. "Do you like shells too?" Emma knelt down, her eyes lighting with genuine interest. "I love shells. When I was about your age, I had a whole collection. This one is beautiful." "You can have it," Lily said decisively, pressing the sand dollar into Emma's palm. "Daddy says when you find something special, sometimes it's meant for someone else." Mark felt heat rise to his cheeks. "Lily, Miss Parker probably doesn't." "It's the most thoughtful gift I've received in years," Emma interrupted, carefully tucking the sand dollar into her small beach bag. "Thank you, Lily." Lily beamed before racing back toward the water's edge, leaving the adults in an unexpected moment of privacy. "She's wonderful," Emma said, settling onto the edge of the blanket. "How old?" 8 going on 30, Mark replied with a small laugh. "She's been the woman of the house since her mother died." The words slipped out before he could stop them. At work, he never discussed his personal life, especially not with the CEO. But something about the beach, the fading light, and Emma's unexpected presence made the usual boundaries feel less important. "I'm so sorry," Emma said softly. "I had no idea." Mark nodded, watching Lily splash at the water's edge. "Cancer." 4 years ago. We're doing okay, though. Emma was quiet for a long moment before she spoke again. My father used to bring me to this exact spot when I was Lily's age. It's why I still come here when things get overwhelming. Something about the ocean puts everything in perspective. Mark turned to look at her, surprised by the personal revelation. In the 2 years she'd been running Parker Publishing, Emma had maintained a professional distance from everyone. Rumors circulated about why she'd returned to take over her father's company after years away. Some said a failed marriage, others a career setback in New York. Whatever the reason, she'd arrived with a determination to prove herself that sometimes translated as coldness. Is that why you're here tonight? Feeling overwhelmed, he asked. She smiled, a genuine expression that transformed her face. The board meeting today. 3 hours of explaining why investing in new authors is worth the financial risk. Sometimes I wonder if I'm fighting battles my father never had to because I'm a woman? Mark finished. A woman under 40 who inherited rather than built the company, she confirmed. They see me as the little girl who used to visit the office with her daddy, not as someone who spent 10 years in publishing in New York before coming back. The vulnerability in her admission surprised him. At work, Emma Parker was all confidence and sharp decisions. This glimpse behind the professional facade felt like a rare privilege. For what it's worth, Mark said carefully, your father would be proud. The changes you're making, the diversity initiative, the new digital department, they're exactly what Parker Publishing needed. Emma's eyes met his, searching. You really think so? Sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who believes in where we need to go. You're not, he said simply. The moment stretched between them, something unspoken passing in the space of those few words. Then Lily came running back, breaking the spell. Daddy! The sun's almost gone. We need to make our wish. Emma raised an eyebrow questioningly. Another tradition, Mark explained, slightly embarrassed. Sarah started it. We make a wish on the last ray of sunlight. Can Ms. Emma make a wish too? Lily asked, plopping down between them. Mark glanced at Emma, expecting her to make an excuse to leave, but instead she smiled. I'd be honored, if it's okay with your dad. Lily looked expectantly at her father, and Mark found himself nodding. Of course. The three of them sat side by side as the sun made its final descent into the ocean. In the fading light, Mark stole a glance at Emma's profile, struck by how different she seemed outside the office, more real, more accessible. Now, Lily announced as the last sliver of sun disappeared. She squeezed her eyes shut tightly, her face a picture of concentration. Mark closed his eyes too, but instead of his usual wish for strength to keep going, he found himself wishing for something different, something that surprised him with its sudden clarity. When he opened his eyes, he found Emma looking at him, her expression thoughtful. Do the wishes come true? She asked softly. Sometimes, he answered. Sarah always said it depends on how much you're willing to work for them. Smart woman, Emma murmured. The smartest, Mark agreed, a familiar pang of loss mingling with something new, a strange sense of possibility he hadn't felt in years. As darkness settled around them, Lily began to yawn, and Mark knew it was time to head home. We should get going. It's past someone's bedtime. Emma nodded, rising gracefully from the blanket. Thank you for sharing your sunset tradition with me. It was exactly what I needed today. As Mark gathered their things, Lily tugged on Emma's hand. What did you wish for? Lily, Mark admonished gently. You know the rules. You can't tell your wishes or they won't come true. Emma knelt down to Lily's level. Your dad's right. But I can tell you it was a very good wish. Lily seemed satisfied with this answer and skipped ahead toward the beach path, leaving Mark and Emma walking side by side. She's adjusted well, Emma observed. After losing her mother, I mean. Mark sighed. Kids are resilient. More than adults, sometimes. She has her moments, though. Questions I don't always know how to answer. Like what? Emma asked. Lately, it's been about whether I'll ever fall in love again, Mark admitted, surprising himself with his candor. She worries about me being lonely. They reached the small parking lot where only 2 cars remained, Mark's practical sedan and Emma's sleek SUV. And what do you tell her? Emma asked, her voice soft in the gathering darkness. Mark hesitated, suddenly aware of how personal their conversation had become. I tell her that love finds you when you least expect it. That's what happened with her mother and me. Emma nodded, her expression unreadable in the dim light. Then she said the words that would echo in Mark's mind for days to come. Sometimes the universe gives us exactly what we need, right when we need it most. Something in her tone, in the way she held his gaze for just a moment longer than necessary, sent an unexpected warmth through him. For the first time in 4 years, Mark felt a flicker of something he'd thought was gone forever. Good night, Mark, she said, turning toward her car. Good night, Emma, he replied, the use of her first name feeling both strange and right. As he drove home with a sleepy Lily in the back seat, Mark couldn't stop thinking about the evening's unexpected turn. He'd worked for Emma Parker for 2 years, seeing her almost daily, yet somehow had never really seen her until tonight. The following Monday at the office, Mark wasn't sure what to expect. Would Emma acknowledge their beach encounter, or would she return to being the distant, professional CEO? He got his answer when he arrived to find a small package on his desk. Inside was a beautiful frame made of driftwood, containing a photograph of the sunset from Friday evening, the exact beach where they'd been. A note accompanied it, some moments deserve to be remembered. The gesture was small but significant, a bridge between their professional relationship and the more personal connection that had begun to form on the beach. Throughout the day, their interactions remained professional, but there was a new undercurrent of understanding between them, small smiles exchanged during meetings, a lingering glance as they passed in the hallway. Over the next few weeks, Mark found himself looking forward to work in a way he hadn't in years. He and Emma began meeting regularly to discuss manuscripts, their conversations often extending beyond work to books they loved, places they'd traveled, and gradually, more personal matters. He learned that Emma had left home at 18, determined to make her own way rather than simply following in her father's footsteps. She'd worked her way up through publishing houses in New York, deliberately keeping her family name out of it. Her return home had come after her father's heart attack 2 years ago. What was meant to be a temporary arrangement to help stabilize the company had become permanent after his death 6 months later. I never planned to stay, she confessed during one of their lunch meetings. I had a life in New York, a career I'd built myself. Do you regret coming back? Mark asked. Emma considered the question. I used to. But lately. I'm finding reasons to be glad I did. The way she looked at him when she said it made his heart race in a way it hadn't in years. As spring turned to summer, their relationship continued to evolve. Emma began joining Mark and Lily for occasional weekend outings, a trip to the aquarium, ice cream in the park, another sunset at their beach. Lily adored her, and Mark found himself increasingly drawn to the woman who was so different from the boss he'd thought he knew. But complications arose as rumors began circulating around the office. Mark overheard whispers about favoritism, about why the CEO was spending so much time with a senior editor. Though Emma seemed unbothered by the gossip, Mark worried about her reputation, about how their growing closeness might affect her standing with the board. People will always talk, Emma said when he finally voiced his concerns one evening as they walked along the shoreline, Lily running ahead of them. I've dealt with worse rumors than being interested in a talented editor. Is that what this is? Mark asked, his heart pounding. Interest? Emma stopped walking, turning to face him fully. Mark, I haven't felt this way about anyone in a very long time. But I understand if you're not ready, or if the complications seem too much. The honesty in her eyes took his breath away. For 4 years, he'd been existing rather than living, focused solely on being there for Lily, on honoring Sarah's memory by taking care of their daughter. The possibility of opening his heart again was terrifying. "I'm scared," he admitted. "Not of what people might say, but of feeling this way again. Of what happens if it doesn't work out." Emma nodded, understanding in her eyes. "Fear is natural. But sometimes, the things most worth doing are the ones that scare us the most." Before he could respond, Lily came running back, interrupting the moment with excited chatter about a sand crab she'd discovered. The conversation was left unfinished, the question of what came next hanging between them. That night, after putting Lily to bed, Mark found himself looking at old photographs of Sarah. For the first time, the pain of loss was accompanied by something else, a sense that perhaps loving again wouldn't dishonor her memory but might instead be a way of honoring the love she'd taught him to give. The next morning, he made a decision. Instead of going straight to his office, he stopped by Emma's assistant's desk. "Is she available?" he asked. The assistant gave him a knowing look. "She just finished a call. Go right in." Emma looked up from her computer as he entered, her professional expression softening when she saw him. "Mark. I wasn't expecting you this morning. I need to say something," he said, closing the door behind him. "About yesterday." Emma set aside her work, giving him her full attention. "Okay. For 4 years, I've been living in the past, holding on to memories because they felt safer than facing the future," he began. "When Sarah died, I thought that part of my life was over. That Lily would be my only focus, my only love." Emma listened silently, her eyes never leaving his face. "But then you appeared on that beach, and something changed. Not all at once, but gradually, day by day." He took a deep breath. "What I'm trying to say is that I'm not afraid anymore. Or rather, I'm still afraid, but I'm ready to be brave." A smile slowly spread across Emma's face, transforming her features. "Are you sure? Because once we take this step, things will change. For all of us." "I'm sure," Mark said firmly. "Lily adores you. And I'm falling in love with you, Emma. I think I have been since that sunset when you said the universe gives us what we need." Emma rose from her desk, moving around to stand before him. "In that case, Mr. Reynolds, I think we should consider this your official notice." "Notice?" he asked, confused. "That you'll be reporting to a different department effective immediately," she said, her eyes twinkling. "I can't very well date someone who reports directly to me. It wouldn't be proper." Mark laughed, relief and joy washing through him. "Always the professional." "Not always," she murmured, stepping closer. "Not anymore." When their lips finally met, it felt like coming home to a place he'd never been before, familiar and new all at once. In that moment, Mark knew with certainty that Sarah had been right about wishes on the sunset. They did come true, if you were willing to work for them, to be brave enough to reach for what you wanted. 6 months later, Mark stood on the same beach where it had all begun, watching as Emma and Lily built an elaborate sand castle together. The gold band on Emma's finger caught the sunlight as she laughed at something his daughter said. Life had changed in ways he could never have imagined that first evening. Emma had restructured the editorial department, ensuring Mark now reported to the executive editor rather than directly to her. Their relationship had blossomed, bringing joy not only to them but to Lily, who had found in Emma someone who never tried to replace her mother but instead created her own special place in their family. There had been challenges, of course. Some board members had questioned Emma's judgment. Lily had gone through periods of confusion and worry about what these changes meant. Mark himself had struggled with moments of guilt, wondering if moving forward meant leaving Sarah behind. But through it all, they had faced each obstacle together, building something new and beautiful from the broken pieces of their past lives. As the sun began its descent toward the horizon, Emma looked up and caught his eye, her smile radiant. She whispered something to Lily, and the two of them came running toward him, sand-covered and laughing. "It's almost time for our wish," Lily announced, grabbing both their hands to pull them toward the water's edge. At 10 now, she was growing taller, her face losing some of its baby roundness, but her belief in their sunset tradition remained unshaken. They stood together at the shoreline, the waves gently lapping at their feet as the sun touched the horizon. Mark felt Emma's hand slip into his, their fingers intertwining with the easy familiarity that still amazed him daily. "Remember when we first did this together?" Emma asked softly. "I wished for something I thought was impossible." Mark squeezed her hand. "What was it?" Emma's eyes met his, filled with emotion. "I wished for a family. After years of focusing only on my career, of building walls around my heart, I stood here with you and Lily and wished for exactly this. And I wished that I could feel again," Mark admitted. "That I could find the courage to open my heart." Lily looked up at them both, her expression serious. "I wished for Daddy to smile more. And for you to come back, Ms. Emma." Emma knelt down, wrapping her arms around Lily. "That's the best wish I've ever heard." As the final sliver of sun disappeared beneath the waves, Mark closed his eyes, making a new wish, not for himself this time, but for the journey ahead of them. When he opened them again, he found both Emma and Lily watching him expectantly. "What did you wish for, Daddy?" Lily asked. Mark smiled, looking from his daughter to the woman who had unexpectedly become his second chance at love. "I wished for more sunsets with both of you. For a lifetime of them." Emma's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I think that's a wish we can make come true together." Later that evening, after Lily had gone to bed, Mark and Emma sat on the porch swing of what was now their home, the sound of the distant ocean a gentle backdrop to their conversation. "I never told you," Emma said, her head resting against his shoulder, "but that day on the beach, when I first saw you with Lily, I almost turned around and left." "Why?" Mark asked, surprised. "Because I recognized something in you, a kind of quiet strength that reminded me of my father. The way you looked at Lily was how he used to look at me." She paused, her voice softening. "I was afraid of feeling anything then. The company was my only focus, my way of honoring him." "What made you stay?" Mark asked, stroking her hair. Emma smiled, the memory clear in her mind. "Lily saw me before I could leave. And then when she gave me that sand dollar, it was the first genuinely kind gesture anyone had shown me since coming back home. Everyone else wanted something from me, the CEO, the boss, the Parker heir. But she just saw a person who might like shells." Mark nodded, understanding completely. "She has a way of seeing through to what matters." "Like her father," Emma said, reaching up to touch his face. "You saw me too, Mark. Not just the boss, but the woman underneath all those defenses." "We saved each other," Mark said simply. "You, me, and Lily, we all needed healing in different ways." As they sat together in the quiet evening, Mark reflected on the journey that had brought them here. From that chance meeting on the beach to today, their path hadn't always been smooth, but every challenge had only strengthened what they were building together. Emma had taught him that loving again didn't diminish what he'd had with Sarah but instead honored her by living fully. He'd helped Emma find balance between the driven executive and the woman who could build sandcastles and make sunset wishes. And Lily had flourished with both of them, her natural resilience bolstered by the security of their growing family. "I was thinking," Emma said, breaking the comfortable silence, "about taking some time off this summer. Maybe we could take Lily on that road trip she's been talking about." "The national parks tour?" Mark asked. "That would be quite an adventure." Emma nodded. "Life's too short to keep postponing the things that matter. The company will survive without me for a few weeks." Mark smiled, recognizing how much she'd changed from the workaholic who'd rarely taken a day off when he first met her. "Lily would love that. And so would I." "Then it's settled," Emma said decisively. "We'll start planning tomorrow." As the stars appeared one by one above them, Mark felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over him. For years ago, he couldn't have imagined finding love again, couldn't have pictured this new life that had emerged from his loss. Yet here he was, his heart full in ways he'd thought impossible. Sometimes the universe gives us exactly what we need, right when we need it most, he murmured, echoing the words that had first opened his heart to possibility. Emma looked up at him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. Those words changed everything, didn't they? They did, Mark agreed. They were the key that unlocked a door I'd kept closed for too long. I'm glad I found the courage to say them, Emma said softly. And I'm even more glad you found the courage to listen. As they sat together under the night sky, their future stretching before them like an open road, Mark knew with absolute certainty that some endings were really beginnings in disguise. His story with Sarah had ended too soon, leaving him broken and afraid. But from that brokenness had emerged this new chapter, unexpected, beautiful, and filled with a love that had healed them all. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges and joys. There would be board meetings and school projects, family dinners and quiet moments alone. There would be arguments and reconciliations, tears and laughter. But through it all, they would have each other, a family forged not by obligation but by choice, by love that had found them when they needed it most. And each evening, as the sun set over their little corner of the world, they would remember how it all began, with a chance meeting on a beach, a child's gift of a sand dollar, and words that had changed everything. Sometimes the universe gives us exactly what we need, right when we need it most. In that simple truth lay the heart of their story, a reminder that even in our darkest moments, light finds a way to break through, that love can find us when we least expect it, and that the most beautiful chapters of our lives often begin when we find the courage to turn the page. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue sharing stories of hope, healing, and the unexpected ways love finds us when we need it most. Remember, no matter what chapter of life you're in right now, your story isn't over. Sometimes the most beautiful parts are still waiting to be written.